Evel Knievel, that motorcycle daredevil, once told the crowd, "I know you didn't come here to watch me jump those 13 buses. You came to watch me jump 12. Evel was most famous for his spectacular crashes. If he didn't crash all the time, we wouldn't even know it. Failure is more interesting than success. Why do more American households tune into America's Funniest Home Videos than the State of the Union Address? Would we rather watch the President of the free world brag about his accomplishments? Or would you rather watch a 3-year-old kid crash his bike into a tree? Or watch a kitten roll off a table into a bucket of soapy water? Failure tells us a little bit more about people. It lets people see us as we really are. So I've decided to tell you about 2 of my failures. First, I'm in 3rd grade and I get the idea to sell holy water to the neighbors. Where I grew up, almost every house was Catholic. And every house had a holy water fountain hanging on a wall. When you entered a room, you put your fingers in there, you dipped them in, and then you blessed yourself, making the sign of the cross. When you needed more holy water, you brought an empty bucket down to the priest and had him fill it up from his supply. Therein I get my idea. I get a bucket of water, put it in a wagon, fill it with a water hose, and bring it down to the priest. He comes out and asks me a couple of questions, but then he blesses it. Then I'm off to the Rexall drugstore to buy some empty bottles. As I fill up the bottles, my little sister Betsy puts a cross on each one with a magic marker. We start up the street. In a short while, we're out of product. We have to go get some more bottles. But fortunately, I watched the priest closely when he blessed that first bucket, and I decided I could bless this one myself. Unbeknownst to me, later that week, Mrs. Reynolds called up my mother and said, "Would you send Joey over with 2 more bottles of that holy water? I'll leave the money under the welcome mat." Well, I look up from my desk in class, and outside the door, I see my mother crying, and Monsignor Cook going. Now, even a 3rd grader knows this is not a good sign. I walked out, and while the priest administered some dark hallway discipline, I got an idea of what true business ethics meant, and I didn't have any. One thing I learned is thou shalt not sell God's stuff for a profit. Now it's 15 years later. I'm a taxi driver in Minneapolis. I drive the night shift. It's more exciting. I'm going to tell you about one day in November. I'm passing Franklin and Bloomington. A couple of guys wave me down, jump in the back, and said, "Hey, Kevin, take us to Frank Beanie's. It's just a seedy bar less than a mile away. They're fun, they're happy, they're back there drinking their beer." "Kevin, have a beer." I said, "No thanks, I've got some coffee up here." "Kevin, have a beer." No, I'm fine." My head's pulled back from behind, and I feel a bottle going into my mouth. Luckily, we're coming up to Beanie's. Say, "Here we are." They get out, they walk off, say thank you without paying. Okay, so now I am listening to the dispatcher, and she sends me to the Sheraton Ritz. The doorman puts a couple in my cab, a middle-aged man and a very elegant woman. He says, "We're going to Chouette, fancy French restaurant in Wayzata." Now, cab drivers don't get to Wayzata very often, and I got lost a couple of times. She's friendly. She said, "Oh, don't worry. We still have time. We'll get there on time. But if you didn't drink so much coffee up there, you wouldn't get so lost." "Thanks, lady." "Yeah, thanks." So we finally get to Chouette. The fellow gets out, pays the fare, throws a $20 tip in and says, "Tell your friends you gave Cloris Leachman a ride." Cloris Leachman, the actress who starred as Phyllis on the sitcom The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Well, I didn't have a TV, so I said, "Phyllis who?" So it's later on in the evening now, and I'm down at Lake Street, 31st and Lake, in front of Popeyes. A big guy jumps across the road, gets into the back of my cab and says, "Take me to Moby Dick's, 7th and Hennepin." I know a secret path down 7th and Hennepin. Uses a little stretch of freeway not too many people know about, but as soon as I take the entrance ramp, the guy thinks I'm taking him out of the way. He says, "Kevin, you're taking me out of the way." I said, No, I'm going to have you at 4th and Hennepin in just a minute or two. You're going to like this ride." And all of a sudden I heard a whack. He had a sack back there. He says, "Kevin, I'm going to sink in the side of your head. Now, I don't know if you know what a sock is. It's a long sock with a hunk of concrete or steel down at the bottom. You swing it around. They're really good for street fights. Or in his world, they were good for cabbies who took a wrong turn. So he's getting mad. I'm pulling over. And he says, "Cabbie, pull over now." I'm trying to pull over. Whap! I thought the back window would explode the way he hit the ceiling with it. He says, "Cabbie, too late. We're going to fight." I said, "Yeah? We're going to fight?" So he says, "Yeah, get out right now. We're going to fight. I'm going to show you." So I get out my door, open the door. I hear him get out his door. He's running around the back of the cab. I get back in. I see him back there and I drive off, but just slowly enough to let him chase me. Just fast enough so he couldn't touch the car, but I'd slow down once in a while so he could put another dent in the trunk with that sack. Okay, so where's the failure? Well, I liked that job so well, it kept me out of college for another 2 years. What did I learn? I like meeting interesting people in unique situations. I like meeting people that most of the world doesn't ever get a chance to. That interest in unusual things and unusual places is what brought me halfway around the world to find a wife who's so different from me in background and appearance that you wouldn't even recognize us together. But she has been one of the biggest successes in my life. So Toastmasters, what you're looking at right now is a failure. Winston Churchill said, "Success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm." Well, I haven't had much success yet, but I haven't lost my enthusiasm either. Mr. Toastmaster.